If you ever feel you hear the same thing over and over again and you think, why does that sound the same? And it's always manipulation because that's a script. There's only so many ways that they're going to twist it and make it your problem. So let's talk about that right now. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Positivity Experience. It's your girl, Lori. Look at us. I have decorated for fall. I'm aware it's August. If people's biggest concern are people decorating early, then they have one hell of a good life because it's no big deal. But I am really excited that it's here. I am working on some really great things. My book is just about completed. You guys will have all that information. If you're looking for the Let It Go little tiny workbook, it's like 10 simple pages. It's over on my website. That's also where you can book appointments, all of those things. You can visit that at positivityexperience.com. And if you're interested in finding any of the worksheets that are like the companion to this podcast and each episode, just kind of gives you a starting point and a reference. You can also find that link in the show description, anywhere you're getting the information now in this podcast, or you can just go to patreon.com/the Positivity Experience. Now that we got all that out of the way, I am so excited. I know it is repetitive. I tell you every week I'm excited, but I am. That's why I do this podcast. It is a passion for me. I'm glad that it's helping so many of you. You guys reach out to me. You ask for topic ideas. And even though I do multiple manipulation episodes, you guys asked for scripts. What do people's scripts look like? And I am so happy to bring that to you. And we're going to go through some of them in the future too. Guilt tripping, which is also manipulation. And we're going to talk about that right now. But I do want to go deeper with that. So think about the human life that we live right here. We can only say and do so many things. You're going to hear the repetitiveness because there's scripts that everybody follows. There's a narcissist script. There's a guilt tripping script. There's a victim mentality script. And what I mean by that is there's only so many ways that they can try to get you to do what they want you to do. Now, I'm going to talk about some here. There are more, but I'm going to talk to you about some here. And you may not hear it in the exact verbiage, but you will hear it. And once you understand this, it'll be less activating for you, meaning you will not just fly off the handle. In the beginning, you might, but you have to remember when people are committed to seeing it only from their perspective, which we know is a cognitive bias and everything else that comes with that. And some people just don't want to see anything that is opposite of what they are telling themselves or what they believe in. And that's where you run into the issue. Because you're like, what the hell? Why can they not do this? And why can they not see this? This is where it goes from the manipulator's culpability to your own. And this is the problem where your ego is in the middle of this. Because your ego says, that's not fair. Well, yes, if you're waiting for fair, you're going to stay in a very victim mindset and you're going to stay in a stuck loop and you're going to watch life go on around you because unfortunately, life is largely unfair and you cannot control other people. You can't control their actions, but you can control your own. So as you're listening to this, you may also go, holy hell, that sounds like me. At any point of our life, everybody listening to this, that's right, everybody, present company included, has been a manipulator, have used these types of script. Now, the key is to no longer be that way. Fortunately, I'm 54. I really stopped doing that probably in my early 30s. Once I started understanding human behavior, I started studying and then I realized, whoa, I'm the problem. This is me. Let me work on why I feel the need to do this, which is always going to be rooted in insecurity, a bit of entitlement, a bit of attachment, and always insecurity and low self-esteem. Once you realize it and you can see it and go, wow, I'm aware of this action without making an excuse for it. Now you are on the right path on this journey. That's right. Nothing is going to change until you have the awareness that goes, ooh, I'm doing this. Not, oh, let me blame this person and blame that person. That's a whole other dynamic anyway. So as you're listening to this, you may go, oh my God, maybe that's me. That's okay. No need to berate yourself. Just be aware of it and make changes. See, that's how people grow. You own it, and you can just own it within yourself. You don't have to put it on a cape and say, here we are, but you can own it for yourself. Now, what you will find too is when you are listening to this, because we're just going to go through 3 and we'll go deep into it. You're going to find that not if you, because you're going to be able to get there, going to have some assertion because you deserve that. You're going to get a level of pushback that they try to make an excuse as to why it happens. And I'll give you some examples of that as we go. So the first one is, of course, the guilt tripper. Guilt trip is nothing but manipulation. It is nothing other than that. A main word, and I'm just using some of the basic sentences. The main one that you're going to hear a lot is, after everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me. Seriously, that's like a mainstay. It's almost like they get this script and they're like, all right, everybody, this is the first one you're going to use. This is the one you're always going to go back to. And again, you might hear it in a different format, but this is what you're going to hear. After all I've done for you, this is how you treat me. So basically what's happening there's emotional blackmail. That's emotional blackmail. I have a whole podcast on that. You guys know that. This is emotional blackmail described as loyalty. Now, what does it do from a psychology perspective? Because there's always going to be psychology behind all of this. So that exploits it. It says you must reciprocate. So this exploits it, and they feel obligated to repay favors. Like you need to repay this favor. Now, in theory, in the beginning, you might not even know that that's what you're doing. Let's say it's you. Might not realize that's what it's doing or that's what you're doing. But then if you check yourself and you go deeper, you might be like, oh, well, damn, maybe I am expecting repayment. Good. Now you have to go into why that is. Because when that person is guilt tripping, they are twisting fairness into a weapon. That's right. People can take fairness and twist it into a weapon. So when you're thinking of this, and if you're looking at the reason this is happening, let that help you not get so triggered by it. Because if I'm telling you, here's the script, I'm telling you why it's happening, and I'm telling you it's always on that other person. While it might take you a minute, I'm great at my job. I'm not a miracle worker. You're not going to listen to this podcast and just have it all at boom. That's why the Patreon exists. But your consistency, right? You got to get comfortable with the uncomfortable and stop waiting to feel ready and stop waiting if you're not the villain. And okay, we already know that. But when you start to understand the psyche behind it, you're like, damn, this isn't personal at all. Why am I making it personal? Because then that falls back on you. Now, there is this interesting part that's survivor's guilt in a relationship. So you think survivor's guilt like somebody passing away. There's other parts of that. If you're on the receiving end of some kindness act, and all of a sudden they're like constantly going back into you, there's this like what they call survivor's guilt. It's the same as if you were surviving somebody happened to be in a car with you, something happened, you survived. It's the same thing. It's how your brain works. So you might think, survivor's, yeah, well, that's just how it works in psychology. I don't know, I don't make the rules. I'm just giving you the information. But there is a survivor's guilt into that, and that's projected onto that relationship. And when you realize this and you start seeing it for what it is, you're not going to take that so personal. Now, why do you react? Well, we know it's ego. That's easy. Ego, ego, ego. That's why you need an ego death. And I have a whole ass podcast on that. It's very important. But the cortisol spikes in you, right? You're like, oh my God, what is happening here? Because you are perceiving that as rejection. Anytime you have rejection, your cortisol levels will raise. You're like, oh my God, this is how it is. So immediately you feel this level of like, oh my God, I don't want to have rejection there. And so you go, I have to create a way to fix this, because you don't want that person to be mad. You don't want that person to feel as though you're selfish. Why? That's going to happen. So if you're trying to fix this, you're going to stop on a certain part of your journey. Boom, just going to stop. You're going to stop it right there. And when that happens, you go, whoa, Why do I keep worrying about what they think? Why do I keep worrying about what they feel? Well, that's a really good question you got to ask yourself. I can't answer that question for you, because until you are ready, I'm going to repeat this every podcast, because until you hear repetition and you do repetition, it doesn't matter. You just go, "Ooh, I can do that." You can't, because you refuse to let go of relationships that are no longer serving you, regardless if you want them or not. You're still putting them as a main priority instead of yourself. And again, in the beginning, that's how it's going to be. But are you willing? Are you willing to feel that, ooh, what if they don't talk to me anymore? Then they don't talk to you anymore. That's where the confidence comes from. That's where the consistency comes from. And that's where change comes from. And here's the interesting thing too. Shame automatically gets activated. We've talked about shame before, but I'm gonna go deeper into that in a second. So that makes you feel like you're the bad guy. How many times, really think about this, how many times have you been in a situation and you're like, well, that's screwed up, and you've allowed yourself to engage, and now they're guilting you and they're doing all of that, and you're like, oh damn, I am so sorry. And then you're like, wait a minute, what the hell did I apologize for? Because you've convinced yourself you're the bad guy. Well, I want to be extremely clear here. When you are the priority and you are setting boundaries, you will be the bad guy to people. Some people, not everybody. I mean, that's the reality. Shame itself is never effective, has never been effective. It will never be effective. Never. And I don't use always and never much, but this is where I'm going to use it. Shame isn't helpful in the least bit. No person has ever shamed themselves into being better, because you're going to keep that process. Because once you're quote unquote, whatever the better is you speak of, you're shaming yourself for not getting here faster. You're shaming yourself for going, oh my God, but I dropped the ball on this one. So now you shamed yourself into not being perfect. So don't go down that route. Do not go down that route. You literally have to say to yourself, why? This is a good question to ask yourself. Why do I care about hurting them over my own peace? Now, let me go into that. You're not responsible for somebody else's feelings. So you have options. You have two options. It's kind of like you or them, but not quite on that level, not like so dramatic. But what I mean by you or them is, if you're always worried about how they feel, especially based on your boundaries, they're not going to like it. You're going to hurt their feelings. When you say no, you're going to hurt their feelings. When you don't come to Thanksgiving because it's a complete nightmare for you every time you go and you decide you're not going, you're going to hurt feelings. What's more important to you in that moment? Is it your mental and your peace, or is it them? Are you doing it to just keep the peace? That's not okay. That's not okay. So that's where you have to know, I'm telling you, this is a script. They are going to bring this to you the moment you start, well, even if you don't set a boundary, but the moment you start setting these boundaries, the moment you start doing those things, that will happen. This is a script. And know that the more, okay, so let's pretend that, okay, this is all I've done for you, blah, blah, blah. And you give pushback. You're like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Keep in mind, you're going to see this cycle. First, it's going to be, woe is me. I don't understand. Can't you see? I did this. If you loved me, blah, blah, blah. This is going to happen. Well, then that script gets shut down because you don't fall into that cycle anymore. Well, now we are going to transition into getting pissed off. Now it goes from poor me, woe is me, I can't believe you're treating me that way, to now you are selfish. You are way too selfish. I can't believe how selfish you are. I didn't raise you to be that way. Who do you think you are? Of course, I see what you're doing. Tell me. I'm telling you. Not tell me. I'm telling you, it's going to go from poor me, to that not working to now it's you. Because those first trigger buttons, those don't work anymore. So now we got to come in a different way. So we're going to come in hot. Oh, and then you might even get into some kind of triangulation or smear campaign. I don't know. Let's say it's your mom. Let's say it's your dad, whomever. Now they call your sister or whomever, and they go, I can't believe this. Can you believe that? How dare them? Blip, blip, blip. Well, now let's say that doesn't work because your job to protect your peace is to not worry about keeping that relationship. And that's where people drop it. That's where people don't go through the rest of the healing process, because you got to be assertive and you got to be willing to step away from relationships, whether it be adult children, whether it be spouses, whether it be friends, whether it be a job, doesn't matter. And that's where you're going to get caught up. Now, you're going to feel uncomfortable, but are you willing to push through that? Not are you willing to push through it to be able to tolerate mom better? Possibly. But if she keeps doing the same thing over and over again, are you just going to stay around for the sake of? No, we're not going to do that. So going back into that cycle, woe is me, oh my gosh, you're the asshole. And then that might go into, I'm never speaking to you again. All right, well, unfortunately, you're doing me a big favor. Now, it's kind of like the crossroads. It might go into, I'm never speaking to you again, and that just may happen. And you can kind of go out of that into this one too, or it's going to go back into woe is me. So watch the cycle, and as you're establishing, or if you look back in time and you have established, pay attention to that, because it's going to go into victim mentality, to you're the problem, to either, well, my feelings are hurt and my ego is bruised and I'm never going to talk to them again. I'm going to take my ball and I'm going to go home. Or it's going to go into woe is me, poor me again. I don't understand. And that's where you have to say to yourself, am I willing to say things like, I appreciate what you've done, but my choices aren't a debt to repay? That's a direct hit in a good way. You are addressing it, you are assertive, and you're standing your ground. I appreciate what you've done, but my choices aren't a debt to repay. And here's another thing. And we've all been there. Everybody has had hopefully everybody has had some form of help and overextension from people. That does not mean that you are indebted to them for the rest of your natural born life. Unfortunately, there will be people who will continuously throw stuff up into your face, but I can't believe that. Now that's going to go into the next one, which is the scorekeeper. We'll get there in a second, because all three of these are going to go hand in hand. And you may see the cycle of the first one, which is the guilt tripper, to the scorekeeper, to the emotional receipt keeper. And that is the cycle in itself. So how you respond is going to be important to how you stand up for yourself. You can also say, that was your choice at the time. I'm not obligated to pay it back. This is big. That was your choice at the time. I'm not obligated to pay it back. I've used this example before. This is a good time to bring it up again. If I choose to go to the original Tiffany's, let's say it's not in the US, let's say it's wherever it is, I don't know, let's say France. I choose to do this because I want to do it. And I fly to France and I get the special Tiffany bracelet because they can't ship it. I go there, my choice. And I come back. This is where I am. This is where emotional growth is and emotional maturity. And I'm not lying to you. This is exactly how I do nice things for people. It's my choice. I go out and I get this $5,000 bracelet and I bring it back and I'm going to give that gift to them for their birthday, whomever, I don't know who it is. And I give the gift. I'm not expecting you to go over the top. See, here's the problem too. People do things with this. They want people to be like, oh my God, you did this for me? Yeah, no. So if I come and you get it, you're like, oh my God, this is that Tiffany bracelet you can only get in Paris. I'll be like, yeah. And they're like, oh my God, thank you so much. That's fine. But guess what? If they look and they go, wow, this was nice at the time, I don't even wear them anymore. And right in front of me, they hand that bracelet over to somebody else. I don't care. My feelings aren't hurt. I didn't give it to them to say, you did this and you better appreciate me. And no, I did it because I chose to do it. So if I give you a gift and you throw it out the window or you regift it, I really don't care, because I didn't do it with stipulations. The moment I hand you something, whatever you do with it is on you. And that's a fact. And unless you're there, then you're going to say, okay, why am I not there? Because if you're scorekeeping, going into the next one, I guess we're going to bring that in now. But if you're scorekeeping or if you're doing something and then you're throwing it up on somebody, that's not doing it for any type of kindness. Now, if you expect something in return or if they expect something in return, say it. Hey, you know what? I was thinking about getting you this Tiffany bracelet. If I go out there and I get it for you, do you think you will wear it? I'd like for you to wear it, or whatever you say. And if they're like, yeah, sure, they might go, you know what? That's such a great gesture. I'm probably not going to wear it. And I'll probably give it away if you give it to me. How about if you're going overseas, go to Italy and get me those special boots? See, dialogue. That's only, however, if you're looking for, I don't know, something in return or accolades or whatever it is. But if you do anything, doesn't even have to be on that dramatic of a level, but if someone helps you do something, paint, somebody comes over and helps you paint this weekend, and 2 weekends from now they ask you to move, if you can help them move, and you're like, no, you got things to do, or maybe you're just no. And then they get all bent. Well, I did this and blah, you should have said that from the get. And that's where people struggle. You say, I will come over and help you paint. I know a month from now, I'm going to need to get some boxes together and all that stuff. Can we swap off? Like, will you come over and help me? Yes. Cool. Okay, cool. Now we have an agreement. Now you know what's going to happen or what you want to happen. Now, if they back out, now you can be like, hey, man, like, you backed out on this. And then if you see that as a pattern, once again, it's up to you to either not do it again or distance from it. Because then the problem will come where you're like, I keep giving. They keep taking it. No, you keep giving. So just know that on the other end. So if someone keeps doing it and they keep throwing it over your head, you got to remind them that, you know what? That was your choice at the time. I'm not obligated to pay it back. And if they feel some kind of way about it, they can feel some kind of way about it. But always remember, a person can only take what's given. I guess if you go and you rob a bank, you're not getting it, but you know what I mean. If you're available all the time and then you go, oh my God, all they do is take advantage, that's on you because you keep making yourself available. And maybe that's because you're the people pleaser. Well, that's what you want to address, not them. And if you find people that say that to you, now they're going into a victim mindset. Now that's where that goes. And you want to address that too. That also, victim mentality is always manipulation. So that's going to go into that script too, because it's going to be, can you believe, I can never do anything right. That goes into the emotional receipts that we're talking about here in a second. But that's why you're going to see this all play out together. Now, let's go into the scorekeeper. That's right. I did this, so you owe me this. So here's an example. Hey, remember when I helped you last month? You owe me. It's kind of what I was just saying to you. I don't owe you. I don't owe you. And that's the problem people have. When you're getting addressed like this from all these guilt trippers, now, if you're not in this healing state that you're in and you're not in the boundary state, you're going to cave every single time. Because they're going to say, back to the top script, well, I can't believe that you're not doing this, or I can't believe that you are just like hurting my feelings. And now you're like, oh shit, damn. All right, I guess I got to. Now listen, we all, you want compromise. We all want compromise at some point. You're going to have to do some things you don't want to do, like pay taxes. I guess you won't have to do that. But yes, there's times you're going to sacrifice some things to, show up or to help somebody. That's just human nature. That's I guess it's not human nature. That's human connectiveness. So of course you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone. You're going to want to do things that you don't want to do. That's not the issue. The issue is when it is projected on you like you have to do it. And until you don't, and if you don't do it, now you're bad. No, absolutely not. Because they're going to go into that, oh my God, but I did this for you. And I'm telling you, I have clients who are in their 60s and their parents are like in their late 80s. And do you know they still get thrown up in their face that they put them through college? Or they help them move when they were like 40. Like, hey, I took you in. Are you serious right now? There will be people who think that you owe them for the rest of your life. I don't care if you're 20, I don't care if you're 90. You can't make them see it otherwise. You have to get so clear here. Stop trying to make them see it. Stop trying to get them to understand your side of the story. They are not in that healing state. Can they get through that? Absolutely. Anybody can change. Anybody can do the work on themselves if they choose to. Choice. Hear that? Choice. And you can't make them make that choice. You don't want to make them squish them into a square peg into a round hole. You don't want to do, well, you might want to do that. It's not going to serve your best and highest good. And don't allow yourself to be smushed into that either. Because the more you keep giving in and giving in and giving in is the more you're building resentment. And sometimes you now adopt that onto other people. So now, because you're like, well, I do this, I am entitled to have that done onto me. You are not. You are not entitled to that. So this is why once you're looking at it and you see the script, you can go, oh, I see what's happening there. Because you could just be so used to it that you think that's just a normal way of no, it's not. It is, however, a script for the manipulator. So in some ways, I guess it's the normal, in quotations, way of responding. But here's the reality. Love is not transactional. I don't care what anybody tells you. Love is not transactional. I'm not going to love you more because you're doing something for me. I'm not going to love you less because you're not. Now, of course, there's a bunch of area in there that we can discuss here. If you feel, or if they, let's talk about you. If you feel as though, hey, like, wow, this person really isn't giving much. Not because you're expecting it, not because you're entitled to it, but you're like, damn, what the hell? Like, I just need a little something. I'm going to put it back on you. You sit down and you have communication. You say, hey, these are some things that I need. And I feel like I'm really missing out. Not guilt tripping. Stop with the guilt tripping. Stop with the you make me feels. No, you want to sit and say, these are some things that I need. And monitor your face. We don't need your resting bitch face saying something different than your words. So check your face. But be honest and be open. Don't try to force someone into seeing it. Don't try to shame someone into seeing it. Sit down and say, hey, this really feels one-sided to me. And this is tough. And you know what? I realize I am responsible for myself. And I know I'm giving. And I know I'm at times over giving. And I know that that's my choice. So do you hear this dialogue? This is intelligent, mature conversation. And you're honest. But you're not blaming them. I keep giving to you. We're not doing that. It is my choice that I keep giving. And it is feeling very one-sided. And I really want to talk to you about some things that I think that can rectify that. And I also want to hear what you have to say. Is it something that you feel that you're overgiving that maybe I'm not seeing? But are you willing to have that conversation? And are you willing to say, wow, they're not equipped to have that conversation. Maybe I need to back off. Because you're allowed to still want, you're allowed to still need, but you're not allowed to guilt them. But I did this last week. And why are we doing that? You went out, so I'm going to go out. Oh my God. Okay. We're back in 4th grade. You did that. I'm going to do it now. No. So when you get to a place to where you can communicate what your needs are, what you want basically in return from a healthy perspective, and you're able to communicate it on you, not like I need you to do this and I need you to do that. And you're not doing that. Stop. Not only is that your ego, there's a level of entitlement. And quite frankly, that's how you push somebody out of the picture completely. And that's a fact. That is because that's how the brain works. If a person is threatened because you're putting them in the corner and you're you and you did this and you did that, they're going to come out, and they're not going to come out well, and it's not going to work in your favor. So to say something like, hey, babe, do you always ask? Don't just dump shit on people. Hey, babe, do you have a second? Like I'm working through some things and I really need to talk to you, but I do need your undivided attention. Are you capable of doing that right now? Or are you available? No, I can't do it right now. Give me till later. Let's talk about it over the weekend. Don't get your feelings hurt because you're asking. You don't want them just because you want it done today, right now. Don't do that. Now, if you see they're never talking or having that communication, I'm putting it back on you again. Are you willing to deal with that? And if you're not, then you leave. Then you make the choice. But let's say somebody's willing to sit down and you have that conversation and you say, I have really been working on some things and I'm depleted. And I'm just making stuff up in my head because I don't know what your scenario would be. I feel very depleted and I really wanted to talk to you about it. Okay, sure. Like, what's up? And, well, tell me. So you say whatever it is, and you can say, I know that this is my choice to continuously do blah, 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 whatever it is. And I realize I'm doing this and I'm working on not doing it so much. And here's what would be very helpful for me, blah, 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 whatever it is. Don't leave it there. Don't just be like, okay, cool, done. No, there's another person there. Okay, so before you go into like, okay, let's unbox what it is you need, you follow that up right away and you say, and I really want to hear what you need or what you feel that maybe might feel a little one-sided on your end. I might not know what that is, so I really want to talk to you about it. Do you hear how mature that conversation is? Your problem is you're trying to make somebody have the conversation or they're trying to make you have a conversation that no, it's not going to be I'm a one-upper. I did this, you did this. You're not doing this. Okay. So if you're not ready to have those conversations or if you're not willing or you're not willing to address the fact that you're not going to have a conversation with somebody who's going to come in hot and tell you how you're ungrateful and how you're not doing something, why are you standing there for that conversation? Why is that where we are? You don't, they can talk to a room, an empty void. They can talk into a vacuum. Why are you engaging in this? Never feel shamed or guilty to have this conversation because they don't want to hear your side. They don't want to hear it. They're allowed to have their feelings. Everybody's allowed to have their feelings. But no, we're not doing that game. So, there's ways of responding. Like I said, that was your choice. Always remember that for yourself, though. This is my choice. So don't just assume that somebody's going to do it. And then it can definitely drift into a deeper manipulation of, if I do this, they will appreciate me. If I do this, then they will be closer to me. Oh, now we've gone past just, hey, not that there's a lighter manipulation or not, but say a higher level manipulation to a way more malevolent. Ooh, that's me tapping on the microphone. If I go to Tiffany's in London and I get them this bracelet, they're going to see how important I am and they're going to love me even more. Oh God, no. Oh my Lord, no. Now we are drifting into a little bit of sociopathy as well as very entitled. So that goes into even deeper. So if you find someone has gone to Tiffany's, got you this bracelet, and you're like, oh, thank you. And then they go over the top with, I can't believe that you didn't here you go. Here it is. I'm not even accepting it from you. So you have to remember that there's a bunch of different variables to everything that we're talking about here. And that goes into the scorekeeper. That is where the scorekeeper lives. That's what you have to be aware of. So you have that's what your choice is. The remember when it was, love is not a transaction. They're using a tally system thinking from an evolutionary psychology. There's this, okay, 1, 2, 3. Like I did this favor, I did that favor, I did this favor. And then they're going, but they didn't do it in return. So we know that goes into fairness once again in a psychological perspective. They're going to weaponize that fairness into that control that I was talking to you. And then that's going to create that shame. And it's also going to create that as a solid mindset for you. Like, holy shit, I got to keep paying this back and paying this back and paying this back. But see, here's the thing. This is why you're reacting. I'm going to go back on you because this is your ego once again. But what happens is you are in that place where it confuses relationship maintenance with a debt repayment. So you're thinking this is a relationship, but you feel the constant need repetitively to keep paying this back. And then it's also learned from a conditional love in childhood. So we have that conditional love. If you do this, I'll do this. If you, and I mean, there is a little bit of a gray area to say, hey, not if you get straight A's, I'll take you there. Hey, if you put your best effort in this week, let's go get some extra ice cream. That's it. Not if you get straight A's, if you get 3 A's on this. No. But see, you were taught that early on. I give you more when you do more for me. I give you more when you meet my expectations. I give you more when. And again, to some level, I mean, there's always going to be certain conditions. I mean, we can't just all run amok, but it's how it's done. Is it done as scorekeeping? Is it done as guilt tripping? And you can also be direct. I don't do relationships with transactions. How they handle it's not your problem. They're going to go off deep end, walk out the house, hang up the phone. They can scream and yell all they want. I don't do relationships with debt repayment or as a transaction. Or you can say, if help comes with strings, we're good. I don't need the help. And they can say, you're combative and I can't believe of course they're going to say that. I told you this is a script. So keep in mind, you're going to be like, oh my God, I had that conversation. Or next week, you're going to be like, holy hell, Lori said that in this podcast. Yes, because there's only so many ways that they can pull it out. There's also the fake concern manipulator. This is where they fake concern. And we're going to talk about the martyr. We're going to talk about the victim card, which we did. I told you about the victim card. But you have that fake concern. Well, I'm just worried about you. That's why you shouldn't do, or that's why you should do it my way. Or I'm just worried about you. I don't think that you should do it, blah, blah, blah. But that concern is control and to do it the way that they want you to do it. I said 3, but I'm adding in more because I feel like there's so many that go hand in hand, but I don't want to be here for 4 hours. So I do have to cut it at like 5 or something. But people are going to disguise control as though they care. You can want what's best for somebody. I have kids. I'm like, ooh, I don't want them to get on. Ooh, that's a train wreck. Train wrecked. Right? Because you're going to see it, you're going to watch it, or you're going to think, ooh, that's not the smartest way. Back off. Back off. Don't try to convince them and guilt them, or don't allow yourself, I should say, be, guilt tripped or have that overpower that's like, but I'm just trying to help. I'm just trying to help. And they're trying to navigate your whole life. Because what happens is when that fake concern comes into play, that's going to trigger that fear and self-doubt. Now it's like, oh my God, well, maybe I am doing it wrong. Am I doing this? People got to learn their own lessons. Stop trying to prevent that and stop allowing that to be prevented. If you want to try that new job in Siberia, try that new job in Siberia. If it works, great. If it doesn't, so what you learned. Don't not go because somebody doesn't want you to go. You learn your own lessons. Don't try to do it to prove anybody wrong. Stop doing that. That goes into ego. You're doing it because it is a choice. And it is your choice. And if they don't like it, they can guilt trip the wall. It's really important there. It also overrides any kind of decision making with your fear circuit. Amygdala is like, what is going on? We're in danger. Because now your problem solving is like, well, maybe that is right. Maybe that is wrong. Especially when you're not in a place on this healing journey, when you're confident in allowing yourself to fall and fail. If you're still in perfectionism, this is going to be really hard for you. And that's why you want to address that before we start addressing this. You can't address it all at one time. And I told you it's patience and it's a long-term project. But when you associate that rejection with physical pain in the brain, because that's what happens, your brain goes, oh my God, this is awful. Because it feels empty. Nobody necessarily wants to feel rejected. However, no isn't always a rejection, and rejection isn't always rejection when somebody's trying to control the narrative. That's not rejection. That's stipulation. We're not doing that. So your body thinks it's rejection. No. Because if they're rejecting you when they don't get their way, how can anybody reject you when they're holding all of these cards in a control center? Why would you? Nobody can reject you there. You're just not meeting their needs. Don't read into that at all. And when you say no, if you feel, when you say no, if you feel it's going to hurt their feelings, that's okay. Hurt them, smush them. That's right. I said it, because you're going to be on the other end of that no at some point. No. And I don't mean where people get shitty and it's like, no, I'm going to withhold this. That's different. If you can't take a no without needing an additional explanation, that's a good place for you to be, because your no is going to quote unquote hurt feelings. Oh, that's going to happen. So if you never say no because you're either trying to keep the peace or you don't like to have somebody feel uncomfortable, that's what we have to address. Your people, I'm telling you, that's one of the many things I address with my clients in session, is all of this. This came from a client, two clients actually, different places, different countries, who said, I need the script. I've seen the script. We talked about the script, put it on a podcast so I can keep it on repeat when I forget. So I can save it and I can go, ooh, let me remind myself this is what's happening. Because you can hear it or you can read it, but sometimes you need to keep hearing it. And you can say, I hear your concern, but this decision is mine. Hey, I totally hear your concern, but this is my decision, or this decision's mine. You know, your concern feels more like pressure. I'll handle it my way. Because concern can get real pressury, real controlly, real judgy. So, and I get it. I have kids. Ooh, okay. Hey, call me when you get home, or hey, just shoot me a text and let me know you got home safe. Of course, I'm going to worry about somebody driving. I say that to my adult friends who are older than me and the same age as me. Hey, not every time I'm with them, but if they live out of state or they do something, or like my kids, hey, you good? Just text me when you get home. I'm allowed to worry. What I'm not allowed to do is go, well, make sure you message me because I'm going to be up all night long worrying about you. And we're not going to do that. Just, hey, text me when you get home. Worry is perfectly fine. Concern is perfectly fine. It's when it comes with the other strings that becomes problematic. Oh, this is a big one. Oh, this is a big one. I know you've heard this. This is the martyr manipulator. Oh, don't worry about me. I'll just suffer quietly since no one cares anyway. These are the I sacrifice everything. These are the I sacrifice everything people. These are the people who go, woe is me. Nobody loves me. I keep giving everything, but no, it's okay. I don't want to be a problem. I don't want to be a bother. Okay. Oh my God, how exhausting is that? The reality is they're covering anything of what they call guilt baiting, right? They're baiting that guilt. It's not just guilt, guilt baiting. They're going to bait you. So what is the psychology behind that? That exploits empathy through this mirror neuron. And what that means is you're looking at that and going, oh God, I know how that feels. You know that I know how that feels. Like, oh, I've been lonely before and I do not like that feeling at all. I do not want to inflict that on somebody else. I know that's somebody's script in your head because I know my clients come to me that way. That is a script in your head. That's your script, yours. So when you're projecting you on how you felt, this is going to hold you back too. This is how I felt when this is how I feel when this. Stop doing that, because you will continuously do it over and over again. And the moment you do it once, or let's say twice, is the moment that they know, ooh, I'm going to work on the empathy. It's indirectly demanding control without the accountability too. But I want you to come over right now. What do you mean you're not coming over right now? This is in their head. I want you to come over right now. Well, that's just fine. So now that anger or frustration goes into, well, you just don't love me. Oh God, you'll hear this a lot too. Well, nobody has as big of a heart as mine, or nobody has that caring heart as mine. Run in the other directions, hang up the phone, because this is that martyr complex. And you react because you're feeling that pain. Like I said, you're projecting it, you're feeling it, you're associating. Empathy is one thing, exploitation of enabling is another. You can absolutely feel bad for people. That's good. You're not a psychopath. Nice mental check there. Love that for you. But you can have empathy by going, wow, oh, you don't go over explaining your no, though. Hey, I really don't want you to feel so sad that I said no, and this is why I said no. You can have empathy from afar, and you can have empathy for how they feel. Because again, you're not a psychopath. And the thing on the other side is be careful of letting somebody else's empathy be projected onto you as well. That's that weird area, right? This is where those tools, you're not going to get this in just one podcast or just listening to somebody and getting a freaking sweatshirt either. So it's the work you got to do, because people will mistake you having quote unquote no empathy with boundaries. Oh God, they have no empathy whatsoever. Oh, I see. Yeah. So you're going to hear, you got no empathy. I can't believe you. You have no empathy whatsoever. Okay. So my no for my boundary hurt your feelings. And now I have no empathy that I'm not dropping my boundary. Then you know what? I have no empathy then. Not that, and I'm telling you that we don't need to get all combative, because then you're just going to feed right into the manipulators game. You've now walked into the chess match and now you're playing their game. You don't have a choice now. And that's important. So you can always respond that says, if you feel the need, or you can say, if you need to ask me, oh my God, my ADHD brain just went in 5 different sentences at the same time. See how that ADHD works? Give it a high five. Yeah. And bring it back to base. If you need something, ask directly. I won't respond to guilt trips. Like, hey, what do you need from me? And then if you can do it, you do it. If you can't, you can't. And then you can also refuse to rescue unless they ask you directly. Stop jumping in there and going in their roundabout passive aggression, because passive aggression is massive manipulation. Because again, that goes into the victim. They're playing the victim card. Why does everything bad always happen? Why are all my kids always abandoning me? They're shifting that responsibility away from themselves onto you. And that goes into learned helplessness, which we talked about. They're drawing into that learned helplessness, and they want that validation of constantly being rescued. And this is why you're reacting, right? If you're conditioned to fix others, you're naturally going to step in. You're naturally going to not put yourself as a priority because you've been conditioned to put them first. You've been conditioned, whether it be in a religion, whether it be at home, whether it be through early childhood conditioning by a manipulator or a narcissist. We know why you're doing it. We're not negating that here, but you're here today. Don't allow yourself to go into the victim mindset of, well, this is all I've ever known. Well, yeah, no shit. That's why you're here. If you didn't, you probably would just maybe have me on in the background somewhere. No kidding. But you're here now. Are you going to have the awareness to put a hard stop to that? Because if you are allowing yourself, and in your brain, it's reinforcing your role in this triangle, right? You're the person, you're the glue that holds a family together. Okay, guess what? You can take your assignment out of that. Whoop, you know what? I'm stepping down from that role. Period. Hey, I understand that you're struggling, but I can't solve this for you. That's right. That's right. You can say that. I understand that you're struggling right now, but I can't solve that for you. Don't come in like Bob the Builder with your little tool belt and you're going to fix it all. And you can also say, hey, so what do you want to do about that? What is your directional path on what you want to do about that? And that's where you got to say, okay, what is going on here? Who is manipulating me? And whether you want to admit it or not, A, you've done it. If you're still doing it, correct that. Correct that. That's where you want to work on. But let's say you've kind of worked through that. Stop engaging. Stop engaging. All manipulative scripts work because they're weaponizing this universal human need of belonging. Yep. Fairness, fear of rejection, and obligation. So if you're aware of this antidote, once you see the script, it loses all kinds of power. But you got to be willing to walk away. You got to be willing to not get the last word. And you got to be willing to say to yourself, am I playing a role in this by enabling this behavior? And do I want to enable this behavior so they can be the people that I want them to be in the relationship that I want to have? But that's the manipulation script. You're going to hear it if you haven't already, and you might hear it all the time. And it's going to go down to this. What are you going to do to not allow yourself to give into that or get activated? What steps do you need to take for yourself to distance from people pleasing? And guess what? That's going to go way back. It is going to take a long time. Get real with yourself. But in the meantime, put a hard stop to all of that with boundaries.